Hi, Laura. Welcome and thank you so much for joining me today to share your experience with the Weight Release Shift program. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Oh, thank you. And I like to start at the beginning by asking you, before you joined the Weight Release Shift, what were some of your main goals that sort of attracted you to the program?
Yeah, absolutely. It's such a good question because I remember it vividly. So, yeah, I would say over a year now. So it was last September, last October, and I was 52, and my body was just going through some changes. And whereas normally my weight had always fluctuated, like growing up, I was active. And then, of course, poor decisions make you gain weight and the choices that we make and all that. And so all my life, I've been up and down with weight. I had children later on. And so that, of course, made it even harder to get the
Yeah.
weight off. And I wasn't one that really dove into the science behind why I was putting on the weight. I pretty much knew I'm go for comfort carbs, and that was always my vice. So when I wanted to lose weight, I would exercise more, and that was always my thing. So I found myself doing that, but the weight not coming off. And not only was the weight not coming off, it became a bigger issue. So I would be at work and I have full-time job. I work in social services. And so I was getting tired at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I was literally struggling to stay awake. And
Mm.
this went on for weeks prior to finding you. And it just got to be a point where I knew something else was going on with my body and I wasn't sure what. And then, of course, the brain fog kicked in and all of the other things that you can imagine. So, brain fog, memory, hot flashes. So,
Mhm.
I clearly knew I was entering menopause. I hadn't heard of perimenopause before. So, this was a new avenue for me to be getting into, branching into. And for me, how I've known people to deal with menopause has always been through supplements or medication. They shy away from it like this evil M word, and nobody, like, it was this dreaded part of your life that you're about to enter into. So you can imagine I'm sitting there myself and I'm like, am I seriously, is this how it's going to go? So I was fortunate enough to be able to hear you speak. And prior to listening to you speak, I, of course, snagged your book,
Yeah.
and it was epic. It
Oh.
was absolutely exactly what I needed to hear when I needed to hear it. So it was going to help me, in my mind, learn about this new body and this new season that I was entering into with perimenopause, menopause. So, yeah, quite
Mm.
excited for that.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing that in the details and really what was the real driving force, right? For you. So many women, I think they can tell something is changing, but they are not necessarily sure what it is and how to fix it, right? So I think your story is like so relatable and I really appreciate you sharing that. And if you remember, so you did start the journey with my book, which you know over there, which is so great. If you remember from when you read it, like what was maybe one thing that really jumped out at you that you really recall that really spoke to you?
I feel it took away the shame game. So
Mm.
it took away the guilt and the shame, and it took away this from being my fault of why I was this way and where I was at in my life, to empowering and giving me a science behind it that, hey, you know what? This, yes, is happening, but we can do something about it. And it doesn't have
Hmm.
to be drugs. It doesn't have to be anything to shy away from it. It can actually be one of the most beautiful phases you go through. So,
Yeah. Oh, I love that. That's beautiful. And that's a very, very important part of the messaging, right? Like the note of love and no self-blame, which I think is so common. You know, it does happen very often, right? When we don't know what's wrong, a lot of times we think we done something wrong. So that is beautiful. And I know on the same vein of confidence and empowerment, I know you're an avid listener of the podcast as well, Confidence from Within. So tell us how you use the podcast to sort of like keep up with the inspiration on a week to week basis.
oh, yeah, exactly. It's exactly that, top of mind awareness. So it's one thing to read a book once and then put it down
Yeah.
and not go back to it. It's the top of mind awareness that it's always there. It's an easy listen.
Mhm.
It's not overwhelming. You don't need to bank a lot of your day for it. And it just brings you back on a weekly basis to where you want to be.
Yeah, that's awesome. And looking a little bit about the program itself and your experience with it, what would you say has changed since you started your weight release journey?
Well, one thing in going into that, I will say one thing is that as a mom, as a wife, as a caregiver, all the things I would always invest everything into everybody else. And I
Right.
would never,
Mhm.
ever think to do it for myself because I thought that was selfish. Like that, who am I to, use these resources for myself to better myself when I should be using them for my family? And you have a commitment to myself wellness contract in your book that
Yes.
really hit home with me. Like that, I think was what sealed the deal in me wanting to join the program. And it just sets it out that I'm worth it. And not only am I worth it, but I I'm a better, my family deserves a better version of myself. If I'm not strong, I can't be there to take care of them. So I actually need to pour some investment into myself so that I can be the strength that they need to carry through what we need to go through.
Yeah, brilliant. And it's absolutely true. It's that idea instead of you're taking from them, you're investing in yourself. Therefore, you are literally more emotionally resourceful to even give to them, right? And I think that's such an incredible shift. And you have truly mastered the core principles of weight release. And it is just very inspiring and gratifying to me to watch like you blossom in so many areas of life. So just amazing work.
Well,
And
it has been quite the journey.
yes.
As you know, so asking how it's been, how my life has changed since joining, I've gotten my life back. Not only have I got my life back, my life is 10,000 times better than it ever was and than I ever thought it could be,
Wow.
which is pretty spectacular.
Yes. Oh, I love to hear that. And when we feel better, we do better, right? Like, and I think we
Yes.
we want bigger things, and it's just such a beautiful sort of never-ending cycle. And you're such a beautiful role model of that. So, oh, warms my heart. And
Well, it's so true because when you're tired and you're exhausted, you're not having any vision. You can't
yeah.
see the future because you can't even see to the end of the day. And now all of a sudden, fast forward and you have all this energy and abundance. And not
Hmm.
only that, your body is working for you. It's mind blowing the difference. Yeah, I'm older. Yes, I'm even more into menopause. I no longer have hot flashes. I no longer have brain fog, and I have more energy than I'm sure most teenagers out there.
I love it. Yeah. For those just listening and not seeing, like, we're doing like the celebration is.
Oh my gosh, it's yeah. I if you were to have one thing in your toolbox, your program is it.
Oh, thank you. It means a lot to me. Like we have no idea. And just to give our like listeners or audience a little an idea in terms of the science aspect of it, right? Like we done your functional DNA session interpretation to really add this extra layer of certainty of this is how my body in a sense also like all of your body, not just like, the weight piece of it is wired and how can we really overlay the program on top of your specific needs. So talk to us a little bit about that aspect of it, the testing, the DNA testing.
That was absolutely pivotal for me. So prior to the DNA testing, I was going along great in the program. I was seeing great results as far as my energy went. Um, Energy, no brain fog, and no hot flashes. That was all working good. I hadn't shed a lot of my weight yet,
Yes.
but the fact is, I did shed. Actually, I obliterated the dependency on comfort food. And
Hmm.
that was through the program alone. It taught me how my relationship with food can be something that actually helps my body rather than hurts my body.
Yeah.
So I sincerely appreciate that. If anybody has those like cravings for carbs, and the carbs is comfort carbs, as I always called them. 100% this program can cure you of that. Now, how the DNA took it to the next level was, it's one thing to hear the science behind it, and
Yes.
it's another thing for the science to smack you in the face.
I love it.
So it essentially, it takes it to, this is how it works on a science basis in a textbook, to this is how it works with your body, with your makeup, with
Yeah.
exactly where you are, who you are, all of the things. So it absolutely personalizes the program, to a degree that after that, my success has been ridiculous.
I love
It's
it.
like, yeah, I went from knowing that I shouldn't have that carb for the science aspect, knowing that as a person, yes, I'm very emotional and that type of thing, but actually learning the DNA reasons why. Now, what do I do once I realize why? Does that mean that, oh, well, I can't do anything about it? That's how I'm made. That's what I do. No, now you utilize you and the resources that you have. And it's like, okay, here's what we're dealing with. You're a person that feels a lot. You're a person that, has great emotions and all this and needs time for things. That's probably why I went to the comfort carbs, because that
Yeah.
was always what my brain told me to do and always supposedly made me feel better. But I'll tell you one example. So this week, our daughter's been super sick again, and
Mm.
she was sick a lot last year. Prior to getting into the program essentially saved me and gave me the strength to get through that. So here we are this week, and still the back of my brain tells me, you want comfort carbs. And I literally paused and I thought to myself, do I? What's the comfort carb going to do for me? Well, it's going to make me tired. Well, is that what I need? Or what I need is strength. I need strength to get through the night. I need strength to be able to put in the hours. I need energy and I need strength. Is
Yeah.
that carb going to do that for me? Absolutely not. No, thank you. It's
Yeah.
like, it's the choices that you're able to make once you know that it has to do with your body and it's not just a generic roundabout way to do things,
Yeah.
is epic. Like that, I feel there's so many aspects of your program that are so individualized to other things I've tried before that make it the best thing on the planet as far as I'm concerned. And this DNA just takes it to the next level.
Thank you. Music to my ears. And I'm so sorry to hear about your little girl. And, I know that was a
Yeah.
big thing we talked about when you came on the podcast, right? So I'll link the
Yep.
episode below as well. But the stronger you are, the more you can show up and, advocate for her and take care of her, right? So it is
Yep.
amazing that you're in such a strong place, right? That you can actually be there for your family while still being there for yourself, right? Which I think is
Yes.
so important.
Yes. It's
Absolutely.
essential.
And the final question that I have for you is, and then I would like for you to tell a little bit about yourself as well to our listeners. But if there's somebody sort of contemplating, or I'm going to I'll frame it differently. So say that there is this woman listening to us that have tried many things before and nothing really works, at least not long term, which I think is so many women's experiences. And that fear of, I'm going to invest in this financially, time, resources may not work for me. Like, how would you help that person make the decision for themselves if this is right for them, if that is the primary fear or concern they have?
Yeah, absolutely. A great question, because that was a fear that I had. It is an investment, but I feel it is the most valuable investment that you can make. So
Mhm.
it all comes down to your why. So if you're
Yeah,
just wanting for the scale to move, it may not be what you're really looking
exactly.
for.
Yes.
So if you're wanting to literally enhance your life, give more energy, um, reduce hot flashes, like all of those things, and have a program personalized to you, have resources accessible to you when you need them,
Hmm.
have just the support and all of that, it is 100% worth the investment.
Oh, thank you
And
so
you're
much.
worth the investment. Like, that's what people need to realize. You are worth it. And it is. money well spent.
Absolutely. And very much like you said, so many women have not either like being comfortable investing in themselves before, or even if they have, I think sometimes when you look back and you see all those attempts that didn't work, right? But very much like you said earlier, it's the personalization for your needs that I think is really the game changer. It's not just another generic strategy, right? We can really customize emotionally, but also more on the science side to what that person needs, right? So, and you so brilliantly shared your experience of that. So thank you. And the final question for you then, Laura, is like tell us a little bit about like yourself and what you do and all those things, whatever you want to share about you with our listeners.
Oh, sure. So I am happily married. I married later in life. So my husband and I, we had kids later in life. I didn't have my first child till I was 40. I had my second at 41, 42, I guess. Um, so yeah, my body has gone through a lot of things. I work helping other people on the daily. So I work with social services and helping our community that way. I've done a lot of work with the homeless. I've done a lot of disaster response relief. So I am
Mm.
always draining my cup, and to the point that it is absolutely essential and empowering to me to know how to fill my cup.
Yeah.
And I learned that through this program. So I couldn't be more thankful. If anybody ever needs an extra opinion, wants to sound something past me, I'm always available for anybody for that.
Love it. Yay. Thank you so much again for your time. I deeply appreciate you. You're such a beautiful energy in our community and loved by all our members. So I really appreciate you taking the time and sharing your experience to help inspire other women that are also considering taking the release journey with us.